winter's coming up in the Northeast, so we're gonna, after I plunge today, we'll empty it out. I'll show you guys how to clean it. Because I think for most people, unless you have like a really nice setup somewhere, it's easier to just like use your plunge for a few weeks, a month, month and a half, and then just empty it, wipe it out, and refill it. And it's like a bathtub. Like a lot of these companies are spending so much time on like extending the life of the water, but the energy and time you have to invest to do that doesn't seem to be worth it. Like, how much is 100 gallons of water anywhere in the country? Very, very cheap. We use that all the time, so I'm a fan of, oh shit, I'm in my boxers, not my bathing suit. To empty this is pretty easy. If you have a chest freezer or a different setup in your house, sometimes you have to put like a submergible pump in it with a hose that goes wherever you want to drain it. But since we're outside, it's really easy. On the back side, oh shit. On the back side of the tub, there's two ports. There's a low port and a high port. So the one on the bottom, that hose hooks up to the chiller. I don't have the chiller out here now, but that is the one that sucks in from the tub and then filters and cools the water and blows it back in. When it pumps it back in, it goes in the top port. For a lot of people, all you have to do is take your bottom hose here. So this is the hose that's connected to the bottom port. And I'm just gonna put it to the corner of the yard. And then just open this valve. So now you have the low point just draining out with gravity, and you could put that hose in a drain. You could put it off your balcony, out your garage, wherever you want. But if you're inside somewhere and you need to pump it into a drain, then that's when you could use a pump. You could also use the chiller as a pump. You can, how would you do it? You would take, so say you have your chiller set up. I'll show that later. To not make it complicated, to empty it's really easy. You can just direct it with the bottom port, or put a pump in it. You can get a sump pump from Amazon, Home Depot. Just put then they're cheap. You can get like a $30, $40 pump. Put it in there, connect just a garden hose to it, and pump it out wherever you want. And then this will take a little longer, doing it the gravity way. And once it's empty, then you wipe it out. Make sure the pressure's still good, the this one's still fine. And then we'll just get the hose, fill it up. And I'll show you the kind of hose to use. Most hoses, they're made of like a petroleum base, like a PVC or a rubber or something, and there's been some studies done on, and they're just terrible. They leach. Like if you're filling up like even water in your plants, I would stay away from them. For most hoses, if you have kids using them, like with sprinklers and water balloons and all that, definitely get at least one good hose, a non-toxic hose. They're made of like polyurethane. HoseRight.com is a really good hose, and that's the hose we use. So we fill it up with a hose from the house, but it's not a toxic hose. So the water that you get in there is pretty good. You could put a filter on the end of that hose, like an RV filter. The Wave cold plunge will ship with a screw-on attachment, and a lot of cold plunge companies do come with them. So then the water that you're putting in the tub is filtered and cleaned a little bit, and then the chiller will also filter the water. But like if you don't have a chiller, you could just start with a non-toxic hose. I try to start there. I have used other hoses, obviously, but if you want to do a little upgrade, get a hose that's drinking water quality, but this 100% polyurethane hose works great. And then you could screw on, if you have really bad water, which most of the country does, you could screw on a little RV filter. They sell them on Amazon, they're cheap, and just get a pack of them, and you fill it up, and you have clean water to start with without a lot of chemicals and shit in it. Then ideally you have a chiller that is just constantly running, sucking the water and filtering it and then putting it back in. But if not, at least you're starting with cold and clean water, or clean water. It's been emptying for, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes because the gravity isn't the fastest, but we drained it out of the yard. But there's still like those 2 inches of water. I just dump it because I'm outside, so you could just dump that wherever. If you're on a balcony or in a basement or something, then there's a couple things you could do. You could use a bucket to try to get more out of it, but that's why the pump works well if you're in a place where you can't just dump it out. So you got to get creative. Depends on where you're at, but I'll just show you what I do. So depending on where you're at, you'll have to have different solutions. Here, then we just leftover water, just lift the tub. And that's it. So this is the hose setup that I use. This is the non-toxic hose I was telling you about from Hose Right. This is also a great hose bib for your house. It automatically drains, so like when you shut it off, you don't have to winterize it. Works awesome for that. Quick disconnect. But then, yeah, but this is the main part. This hose being non-toxic is just such a plus than like sitting in a tub every day in water that has all kinds of nasty shit in it. Like there's heavy metals that leach off of hoses, endocrine disrupting chemicals, so like affecting your hormones in your body, even chemicals that are like carcinogenic. So if you're doing it every day or often, you're increasing your exposure to those chemicals. So definitely a worthy investment. And then you could use that same hose to like water your garden. Know you're putting better water in your garden. If you have kids or pets, they're all using better water. Especially when hoses get hot in the summer, it leaches even more of those chemicals. So it's one of those easy swaps to make in your house to make your house non-toxic. And if you are interested in any of that stuff, like trying to have better products for your house that are like non-toxic or better for your family, the link that I have on my page somewhere, oneclickbetter.com, that's like the brand that my wife and I started a couple of years ago, and we made a book that goes through, it's an ebook, goes through every product in your house, and from hoses to pans to your mattress, every single thing, and it shows you in a real easy way what to stay away from and why, and what products to get and why to get them, and even has links to all the products if you want to order them online. But it makes it so easy. Instead of having to do research and everything, it's just anytime you're ready to get something new for your house, like, oh, it's time to get a new couch, or we ran out of toothpaste, you just look at the guide, it's like, oh, we'll stay away from all these products or ones that have these ingredients and get one on this list, and it just makes it super easy. And then before you know it, your house has all good products in it. Like, they're not going to necessarily make you healthier, but they're not going to be products in your house contributing to making you sick. All right, so we'll fill this plunge. But the reason we made that guide was we were making videos on like Instagram and TikTok and stuff, and just so many people would be reaching out like, what pan do I get? What detergent do you use? And I was like, all right, everyone is wondering what to get. I don't think anyone wants toxic things in their house, so that's why we made it, to make it easy for people, so you don't have to watch tons of videos and be scared and be like annoyed. Just get the guide and follow it as you see fit. All right. Oh, plunge flipped back over. So now you can get an idea of what the plunge looks like, how nasty that is from. So this water was like over a month of me plunging every day, Emily plunging most days, and not really like showering or cleaning off before getting in, but also there was no chiller attached filtering it, so it made it even more dirty. But I don't usually let it get this dirty. This is pretty nasty. So I'll hose it out, and then I'll just like wipe it down with some rags. And so this is a product from that guide that I was just talking about. Like, what household cleaners do you use? Do you use like Windex and just like, I don't even know what brands would be, like whatever mainstream brands? This brand is Branch Basics. This is such a great brand. I wish I would have thought of something like this. It's a non-toxic cleaner. and it comes in a concentrate, and then you just mix it with water, and you have window cleaner, you have counter cleaner, bathroom cleaner. The more concentrated, the stronger it is, but it's still non-toxic. This is the red one for bathrooms, so it's a little more concentrated. That's what I use to clean the tub. And it's just like, when you're done cleaning your house, you're not leaving like all these like residues of chemicals that, like, every year we figure out more things about them. They're either carcinogenic, or they contribute to asthma, or they contribute to cancer in kids, and like so many regular brands are like that. Like, as companies grow, they make changes to make their products like have longer shelf lives or be cheaper, and usually with that comes more toxic shit. So this is a brand that is in the guide and we use daily, but that's it. Just wipe it out. But let's clean this tub. And like, if you didn't have a hose where you were cleaning it out, you could just use like a rag and wipe it out. This just makes it easier to get the big stuff first, so I usually just hose it out. I mean, just hosing it out is like almost enough. Like, the walls are a little slimy, like not 100%. So then what I'll do is I'll take like a microfiber or a rag and then just give it a good wipe down. There's just like skin cells and like bacteria and just stuff from being in it every day. Anything that you have with water. So I've had a few boats. Anyone who's had a boat knows like how much maintenance they are. Anyone who's had a hot tub, like a pool, is a nightmare. Like, things with water are just a lot of maintenance. A sauna is very low maintenance. A dry sauna is awesome, especially if you have like a second home or a vacation home, or you don't like doing maintenance, you work a lot. A dry sauna, you almost have to do nothing to, especially if you use it like by sitting on a towel when you do it, so you don't sweat it like on the wood. But things with water are just notoriously a ton of maintenance. Just like, things grow in it, it gets dirty. So there's really no way around it. If you want to have a cold plunge, you're going to have to do maintenance. Some cold plungers might be a little bit less than others, but ultimately it's going to come down to the person who's using it and how much they keep up with the maintenance. Like, one might have a little bit better of a filter system or a sanitization method. Like, our chiller for wave cold plunge has an ozone generator, which ozone is a really powerful, like, just oxidizing, like a cleaning gas almost, that we pump into the water. But I don't use it because, so I use it in one of my cold plunges and it works really well, but it doesn't, you still have to clean the tub, you still have to do this. It just extends the time and it keeps the water a little safer because it replaces chlorine in a way that it acts as like a antimicrobial agent because it kills like life in there. So ozone is good. I don't like to use chlorine or bromine or anything like that because those all get absorbed into your body and just add to a chemical burden, and they're just not good for you. So some people use hydrogen peroxide, and like a food grade hydrogen peroxide that's a little concentrated. You throw a shot in there and it like shocks the water and kills stuff in it, which can also help extend the life of the water. But I keep saying extend the life of the water because you're never going to have water that's just perfect forever. It's just not going to happen. I don't even think that should be a goal. I think the goal should be like, what's the easiest for you, what works in like for your life, and just like accept that if you're going to have anything with water, whether it's a boat, a jet ski, a pool, a hot tub, a cold plunge, anything with water is going to be a lot of maintenance. And in the cold plunge sense, you also have a mechanical system. A chiller is a pretty complicated piece of machinery. That's why a lot of companies, one just went out of business, a couple have gone out of business actually that just started and were doing well. It's because they're chillers. It's a water pump, it's a filter system, it's a cooling system, a heating system, electronic system. There's a lot of systems in that little box. I'll show you mine once I'm done wiping this out. And to get that working like perfectly, it's not easy. So you have to maintain that system. It's not just about cleaning the water. That system is also working all the time to filter the water, to circulate it, to cool it. It's like running an appliance. So that chiller is going to require its own separate maintenance. You're going to have to change the filters on it. You're going to have to be careful where you keep it. You don't want to keep an appliance that's working in direct sunlight under extreme environments. I keep it under a table just so it's not like in direct sunlight and getting like rained on and snowed on. Like it can handle rain, but it's not ideal. It just like if you could have your car in the garage, you would, and that's designed to be outside. These aren't really designed. They have waterproofing technology, but it's best that they're covered or inside. But you have to change filters. You have to run it in the right temperatures. You don't want to overwork it. And also inside it, there's water flowing through that all the time, and there's dirt and hair and bacteria. So like once, depending on the use, maybe once every 6 months or once a year. I wouldn't say once a year, probably once every 6 months. Once every 6 months, you should sanitize it. Like you hook up like a bucket of, I forgot what the exact protocol is, because I haven't been using one for that long since we've been going through prototypes. But I'll make a video on like how to sanitize and how to like clean the inside of your chiller to like increase the longevity of it, because I think that this health modality, cold plunging, is going to be around for a long time, and you want your chiller to last as long as possible. It's not going to last forever. Like a window air condition doesn't last 50 years. Like everything has a usable life. So I would say chillers will last anywhere from 1 year to 10 years. Like if you get 10 years out of a chiller, like 10 years out of a window air conditioner, that's a really long time, because it's a very similar technology, the window AC to a chiller, just added a water component, but it's utilizing a very similar technology. But I would say buying a good brand and following the instructions for it, like how you're using it, where you're storing it, and then keeping up with maintenance, like changing filters and maybe sanitizing it, can increase the odds of how long it lasts. Because ideally it would last over 5 years, because they're expensive. Like a cheap one is like $1,000, and a good one can be $2,000, $3,000, even more, $3,500 just for that chiller. So they could be an expensive component. So this is a prototype from a year ago, and it's still going strong. And hopefully we have our final prototype in the next month. Talked to the factory today, and the factory's in China, but they've been an incredible company to work with so far. A lot of attention to detail, not just rushing to market, and that's exactly how I like to work. And they've been like my partners in this, because I don't have a gigantic factory in America. If I did, I would be doing it there. But they're finalizing some little details. Like I don't want it to leak. Like I think a lot of people get tubs and they're good at first, and then from beating them up a little bit or using them or expanding and contracting, there starts to become these little leaks, and then you have to keep refilling it. And I don't want that. I want one that lasts a long time for people. So we're trying to like really hone in on the sealing process with some glues and some like heat type sealing methods that it's sealed really well. And once we get that sample in a month, we'll test it. If it's good, we'll go to market. And I think this is going to be an amazing product, because because inflatables are so cool. Look how light and easy this thing is to move. But it's so strong. When you're in it, it feels like rock solid. So I love the idea of the inflatable, but I couldn't sell one that is going to leach chemicals into the water. So if you're still following, you're still interested in this, we're filling up with a hose, but the hose is a polyurethane hose from Hose Right, so it's a non-toxic hose, doesn't leach heavy metals or chemicals into it. We hosed out the inside, and we washed it. We cleaned it with Branch Basics, which is a non-toxic cleaner. So it still does a good job at cleaning and getting like the slime and smells and everything. Now it's pretty mint inside. And then we'll hook the chiller up when we're done, and that will cool the water, because the hose is probably only in the 40s, and I want to get it a little colder. But it'll also filter it. There's a 20 micron filter in the chiller that will filter that water and get it nice and clean. And then it's going to be 32 degrees Fahrenheit and below for the next month up here in New York. So then I'll disconnect the chiller, put it inside, and you'll have some cold, clean water for a month. And then on a warm day like this, I'll empty it, clean it, and we'll go again. Then after I wipe it down, I'll just rinse it again just to keep it a little cleaner. But like, everyone has a different bar of how clean they want things. This has been a good enough method for me. Some people, like some of the groups I'm in, people are fanatical about their water. They want to be able to like make coffee out of it. And I don't really see a need for it to be that clean. I'm not in it for that long. It's pretty cold and things aren't growing. I'd rather just empty it out. But there are things that you can do to extend the length of the water. So using hydrogen peroxide, you could look online. That Facebook group is great. In it, there's a calculator for how much hydrogen peroxide to use depending on how many gallons of water you have. So when we ship this tub, when we have it on sale, I'll probably sell hydrogen peroxide on the website to make it easy for people. But if you want to give a little shock, you have people coming over, or you just want to keep the water cleaner, there's a certain amount of ounces per gallon. You pour it in there, cleans the water more. And then we have an ozone generator built into our chiller. A lot of them do now. Not all of them do, but some do. And that inside the chiller generates ozone. And as the water is circulating into it at some interval, our chiller, the way it works now, is like every 15 minutes it'll kick on for either 1 to 5 minutes. You choose it. So the ozone generator is very powerful, so you don't have to crank it up. You could just put 1 minute, 1 or 2 minutes, and then every 15 minutes it'll run that for a little bit, and that'll pump ozone into the water and it'll help sanitize it. But because this is a non-toxic material, it's not made of PVC, one of the downsides might be that if you're using ozone too much, it'll start to discolor the inside of the tub and might make it a little bit yellow. I'm not sure yet, and we're trying to make improvements to the material where that doesn't happen. But if you're using the ozone to extend the life of the water and to sanitize it more, if you use it too much, it might discolor the inside of the tub. I don't know yet, but I haven't been using it because I've just been dumping it. I just used it in some tests, and on some of the units that I tested, I cranked it up a lot, and it did discolor it a little bit on the inside. So not perfect, but sometimes when you're using a non-toxic material, there are some downsides, but that's a downside that I would be willing to like take on. Like, instead of disrupting my hormone system, having a tub that is a little more likely to be discolored because it's a non-toxic material. But that's your choice. You get to choose. There's tons of PVC tubs on the market if you want to get a PVC tub. And if you don't maintain any cold plunge, you're going to have issues with it. Like, it's going to start looking shoddy. You're going to have more leaks. You're just going to have issues. But that's the case with anything. Like, unfortunately, so I'm 33, part of the millennial generation, and it seems like a lot of people in this generation don't care to keep up with things. Like, maybe it's been like the fast fashion consumerism type like world that we grew up in, but it's like throw it out, get a new one. Like, some of my friends have had problems with their cars because they just don't keep up with like scheduled maintenance. Like, I feel like people don't know that. Like, every car comes with an owner's manual. If you flip to the end of the owner's manual, there's a schedule of maintenance for the car. If you just follow that like somewhat like regularly, you don't have to follow every single thing, but say 80%, you just follow it. Oh, it's been 30,000 miles, let's change. And you don't have to know about cars at all. You can just go to that schedule. Oh, my car's 30,000 miles, bring it to the dealer or my mechanic and do these things. And if you have a good mechanic or you have a good dealer, they might say, listen, we checked this, you don't have to do this right now, you're fine. But at least follow that roughly, and then you won't run into as many issues with your car. Your car won't just break down on you. The odds of like it lasting longer are just so much higher. And the same thing with like appliances and cold plungers. Like, they have maintenance, and if you don't do the maintenance, it's just not going to last. So if you do get one, you're going to have to clean it some days. It's not so fun. Maybe you could pay someone to do it, but part of the process. All right, we're wiped down, hosed out. Now we'll put it in position, because once you fill this thing with water, there's like almost 100 gallons of water in it. So it weighs like 600 pounds or 500 pounds or something. You're not going to move it from that spot. So I put it in the spot I want. We'll fill it up, and then we'll hook up the chiller.